For the record, please.
Jerry McLucas, 4 Gary Road, Chelmsford, Massachusetts, 01824.
Thank you. And what are you proposing? Do you want to go over what you plan to do?
Sure. So we'd like to add a 34 by 24 garage on the front part of the house, which I think that's one of the areas where it goes too far into the normal setback, and also a 5 by 30 foot farmer's porch in the very front portion of it. We're also looking to add a second story living quarter and third floor storage.
Okay.
Do you know what the square footage of the house is now and what it's going to be when you're done?
Yeah, it's just under 2,000 right now. After the requested construction, there will be 2,700. Sorry, it will be 3,745 square feet, please. And that's including the garage and storage. So the actual living space will be less than that.
Thank you.
Have any other questions from the board on this? At this time?
Is that a two-car garage?
Yes, it is.
Brian, I was just wondering if we should take the shed into consideration. That's 12 feet away.
I think a shed, if I'm not mistaken, is 10 foot is the setback, Mark?
Yeah, if it's under 260 square feet, which it looks like it is. So, yeah, 10-foot setback. But it's not supposed to be in the front yard, but technically it's sort of not past the side of the front of the house, so I think it's fine, to be honest.
Okay. I mean, the addition itself is sort of going to make the shed,
Conforming.
put it in the backyard, yeah.
Well played.
Great. Well, side yard.
Is a special permit. We do not need a hardship. I'm going to go ahead while we study this and read the legal notices. I'm sorry, the legal notice, the letters from the town. We have the building department has no concerns. The Board of Health has no concerns. The fire department has a letter regarding 4 Gary Road. Dear members of the board, the office has reviewed the proposal for the addition at 4 Gary Road and finds the following. The entire home and existing and new construction shall be equipped with life safety systems as required by 780 CMR 51 standard for new construction. The home shall have hardwired, interconnected smoke, carbon monoxide, and heat detectors in all required locations. 3 copies of the plans that clearly show all required life safety devices shall be submitted to this office as part of the building permit plan review process. This office would approve of this addition with these conditions, and I ask that the board make this letter part of their approval process. Respectfully submitted, Captain Dan. I have a final letter from the Community Development Office, and there are no concerns on 4 Gary Road. Those are all the letters I have. Any other questions from the board at this time? I'm going to turn it over. If you'd like to sit down, sir, we'll talk and see if anyone in the audience would like to come up and have a comment, either in favor or against this proposal.
I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
Have a second on that?
Second.
Second from Nancy. We should take this up, I think. It doesn't look like there's anything too distressing about it to me.
I'd like to make a motion to grant the special permit for 4 Gary Road with consideration for the letter.
I'll second that.
Nancy seconded again. All in favor?
Am I a voting person tonight? I don't know.
You would be voting, yes, sir.
Voting tonight, yep.
Okay.
It is unanimous. Motion approved. Thank you very much.
Good luck with it.
We're all set.
Short and sweet, I like that. Never find back on this goddamn. Our next hearing is Bruce Clark, 11 Sharon Ave. Just leave the legal notice, sir, and then we can
Thank you.
start your testimony. The Board of Appeals of the Town of Chelmsford will hold a public hearing on Thursday, January 25th, 2017, at 7 p.m. in room 204 of the town offices, 50 Billrica Road, to hear requests for special permits, variances, and other appeals. Bruce Clark, 11 Sharon Ave, is seeking a variance under 195-9A conformity, Lot B, to construct a new family dwelling that will not meet the requirements for lot area, front and side setbacks, and a special permit under 195-AD for Lot A addition over 20% increase in square footage.
That was a letter that was submitted.
So they wrote a letter on, okay.
That's my legal notice, and they mailed it back to me with a
There's
note.
a letter from an abutter that I'll read in later. I just was going over it. If you'd like to tell us what you have planned, sir, that would be great.
For the record, my name is Greg Halladina, 56 Central Square, and I represent the applicant, who is Bruce Clark. He's one of the 4 children of the late Phyllis Clark. His mother passed away in December of 2016, and his father, Bernard Clark, had passed away in 1997. I'm also here with Alan Clark, who is the personal representative of the estate of their late mother, as well as one of their siblings, Joellen Karkin, of 15 Sharon Ave, and there's one other sibling who couldn't be present tonight, Carol Lee Collins. Originally, this petition was sought seeking relief for 2 parcels that were owned by the applicant's late parents. Lot A, which was a homestead at 11 Sharon Ave, it had been proposed to put an addition onto that property, and that was the special permit that was referenced in the advertisement. Since that time, that property has been sold, and we would withdraw the request for a special permit for 11 Sharon Ave, which was shown as Lot A. The other parcel, which was the subject of tonight's hearing, was the adjacent vacant parcel, 9 Rogers Road. That's shown as Lot B on the plans. And the relief we are seeking is to construct a 1,000-square-foot home on that lot of 10,453 square feet. We would have less than the required area, and we would require also a variance for front and side yard setbacks. So all that remains for consideration tonight is the proposal for the remaining vacant parcel, 9 Rogers Road. The history of the parcel, the applicant's grandmother, Lita Clark, she acquired 9 Rogers Road, which is the 10,000 square foot parcel shown. If you go back to the other one.
I'll go back to, I'm sorry.
Do we have a
Yes, I do.
survey of Rogers Road, a stamped surveyed plan?
I do. I'm
Okay.
just showing, this
I'm
is
not
the-
finding it, that's why I asked.
Yeah, this is just the GIS map, and it's tough to see, but it's at Sharon Ave and Rogers Road, 1320-7. It's 10,400 some square feet. And as I said, it had been acquired by the applicant's grandmother, Lita Clark, back in 1953. There was a large family that Lita Clark had, and she was acquiring several properties in the area for the family. Actually, I think 2 of her children had passed away in World War II. She was a Gold Star mother. But she held title to this property at 9 Rogers, which is outlined in blue, until 1972, at which point she conveyed it to her son Bernard and daughter-in-law Phyllis. 9 Rogers, which is what you're looking at there, has always been separately deeded apart from the adjacent lot where Phyllis and Bernard lived. It was always considered a separate lot.
Is this a conjoined lot?
No, it was in 1950, the applicant's parents acquired the property at Sharon. And then in 1953, the applicant's grandmother acquired the one that's outlined in blue there, which is 9 Rogers. She held it until 1972, and then transferred it to Bernard and Phyllis, who also owned the adjacent parcel.
So that did become conjoined.
They were adjoining lots at that point, correct. They had always been considered separate. They were separately deeded. And I'm told the expectation from the grandmother when she gave it to the 2 children was that it would be a separate lot that could be used for some family member. She had deeded other parcels to other family members as well. Consistent with that, the property has its own sewer connection. And in fact, it was separately assessed for a betterment for sewer in 1987. So it is separately assessed, has sewer service. It's received several separate tax bills over the years for that 9 Rogers Road parcel. The family always considered it a separate lot. In fact, the sewer betterment for that one lot was paid off in 2003. But because it happens to have common ownership starting in 1972 with the other lot that the parents owned, we're seeking a variance now. And the relief we're seeking is for a lot with insufficient area and front and side setback. The hardship for this parcel, if you can go to the plot plan. As you can see, it's shown as Lot B. The lot slopes off in the rear. It's 10,453 square feet. It slopes off in the rear, so the proposed dwelling is pushed a little to the front. So we have a sufficient rear yard setback, but we have insufficient front and side yard setbacks. So we will need relief in order to construct a dwelling on that lot. And a literal enforcement of the bylaw would render this lot, which was owned before zoning, it was actually acquired by the applicant's grandmother back in 1953. She's had it for over 60 years. It would render it basically useless if the relief is not granted. So there is a substantial hardship. And we don't believe it would be any detriment to the public good to permit the variances on those 3 requirements. If you look at the map, if you go back for the neighborhood, although this is an RB district, it's tough to see the lot lines. Nearly every single lot in that area is about a similar size. There are a couple of lots that comply, but for the most part, the neighborhood is entirely all lots similar in size to the subject parcel for this evening's hearing. And the proposal is to construct a moderate-sized, single-family home of approximately 1,000 square feet on that lot.
Approximately 1,000 square feet?
Yes.
And the lot itself is 10,000 square feet, did you say? 10
Yes,
plus?
10,400 and...
I only have Lot A on my digital format there. I saw Lot B up there. I do not have that
Okay.
in my application.
Yeah, I think we submitted plot plans for both. There's a multi-page,
File?
Pardon?
Is it in the file?
Does that look better?
Mr. Chairman, can I approach?
this should be on the screen.
Yeah, that'd be fine. If you have a copy, I mean, I saw it up there. I just,
Yeah,
it came and went, and I didn't get to make any
Oh,
notes
yeah,
for
it's
it.
in the application.
yeah, it should be, I think you said it earlier. I was just going back to the neighborhood plan so you could see the similar size of all the lots in that neighborhood.
Oh, sorry, I'm screwing you up here.
Can I see the page? Yeah, we don't have the quote.
Okay.
This says 1,567 square feet.
For the home?
No, the house?
Says
Oh, that would
proposed.
include a basement. I believe it was 1,000 square feet without the basement. It was the-
Just do the area. You want a calculator?
Well, have it as part of the application, but
With the second floor would be about 2,300.
With the second floor.
I think there was 2 submitted, but we were all like,
So it's
And with a
20
second floor constructed, it would be 2,300 square feet. I'm sorry.
I don't have it in the original submission that I copied to the agenda. Is that one of the ones you gave me?
No, that was within the original submission, the plot plan, and there were some sketch plans.
Submission.
struggling with a couple things here that we have been working with and anticipate hearing from town council about rather soon, maybe even next week. The idea of granting a variance for area has been brought up as whether that is legal or not. And town council is researching that for us. So I think regardless, I'm going to ask for a continuance at some point to get that information from Mr. Haverty. The other question that comes up is the hardship by, when lots are conjoined, they become one. To re-separate this lot is sort of a self-inflicted hardship, because you have, you took a lot that had, and not even a qualifying something like 21,000 square feet when they became conjoined. Now you're separating them by sale, and I'm just not sure that's okay to do legally.
Yeah, well, first of all, the person who bought the adjoining homestead lot, that person was represented by counsel, bought the lot. As I said, over the years, this has always been considered a separate lot. The title, the chain of ownership was not always the same.
You and the family, perhaps. I'm just not sure. One, I'm not sure we can grant the variance for area. That was a question that was brought up at our last hearing, and we're asking the council for opinion on that. For a different application. But the other question of it being conjoined, just considering a separate lot, I don't really think that's enough. I'm just gonna try to understand that a little better. When, as you know, two parcels are bought in common ownership, they become one, they're conjoined. When you separate one, you create a very small lot for standards of our town, which is now 40,000 square feet.
Well, the adjacent lot was purchased by the parents in 1950. 1953, the grandmother of the applicants purchased the adjoining lot. And it wasn't until 1972 that she transferred it to the parents. The grandmother transferred it to the parents.
45 years ago or something.
In
so-
72, anticipating it would remain a separate lot. Now, initially, these were two separate lots. They all predated zoning, 1950 and 1953. The action that you're questioning, if you will, is the transfer in 72 from the grandmother to the parents, who also own the neighboring lot. But contrast that with the intention to keep it separate. There's a separate sewer connection. It was assessed a sewer betterment separately. They've received separate tax bills. They paid off the sewer betterment. It's available for sewer. It's always been considered separate. And in fact, they went ahead and sold the adjacent lot. And now all that's left from the mother's estate is the remaining parcel, which is the subject of this particular hearing tonight.
Hey, can I tell a little story about a sewer tie-ins?
You certainly can.
Okay, I realize that you have a sewer tie-in, and that's fine. But sometimes they forget to put the stubs in places. I know of an area on Route 4 where there's 3 house lots. There's no sewer stubs. There's no way to put sewer stubs in. So just because you have one, I don't believe that makes a lot.
Well, I don't think that's a requirement for a lot. I think the town was going from maps, and the engineers saw it as a separate lot, but that doesn't mean that they weren't conjoined by purchase. It's a question of law, not whether the engineering or the sewer department decided to leave a stub. It's good. It's in your favor, certainly. I'm just,
Well, if the family had wanted to be shrewd, they could have had a straw take title in 72 as opposed to just putting it in the same name as the parents.
and
They
it
were
would
just
have
being
been
upfront. They
perfectly
were
legal
yeah.
and absolutely buildable had they done that.
And the chain of title has always been separate. In 1950, it started on one. 1953, it started on ours.
And in
then 72, they came conjoined, but then they separated again recently when the house lot was
And they
sold.
didn't have any problem with the title search separating
No,
those?
I wasn't involved in the sale, but it's been conveyed. I've checked with the registry. The buyer who had counsel, it was sold. I mean, we wouldn't even need relief if they had been shrewd and put a straw to own one as opposed to the neighbor, but
Right.
they were doing everything up front. They just considered it separate. There were separate tax bills. The sewer,
I'm sure
betterment-
the intent
yeah.
was to leave it a separate lot.
Absolutely.
I have no doubt the family.
and that's why we're here for relief now, I guess, is my
It's
response.
just, it's getting, the two problems I face is, can we legally separate that? And can we grant a variance for area? And those are the two questions that I'm struggling with. So I will tell you that I'm going to suggest that we ask for continuance to determine, hopefully next week, I think that Paul thought he would have his research done, and I can't
Right.
guarantee that, but I think we would put you on the agenda for the following
Okay.
meeting, I don't know the date, but.
February
February-
1st.
And see if we can have an answer for you at that time, from town, or we can have an answer from town council for that. I'm gonna continue the meeting, I'm gonna open it up to public comment, and we'll see, if there's any, other concerns, or, I have some letters to read in, so we'll go through all the preliminaries. I just would like to talk with town council regarding those two matters, to understand it better.
For the record, I just have a petition that was circulated, it was signed by a few neighbors, as well as an email from another neighbor.
I'll read those in as well.
Into the record.
Thank you. I think I'll read my letters before taking testimony from anyone that may have a comment regarding this, and we'll do it in that direction. So we have an attached letter from the building department. To the Board of Appeals from Mark Dupel, Building Commissioner, 11 Sharon Ave. Correct. Dear Board, as requested, I reviewed the submitted proposal and offer the following. The existing lots are non-conforming. The lots is held in common ownership. The lot split will make 11 Sharon Ave, Lot A on plan, more non-conforming. Zoning by law, S 195-10, existing non-conforming lots reads, no existing non-conforming lot shall be changed in size or shape except through a public land taking or donation for a road widening, drainage or utility, improvements, or except where otherwise permitted herein, so as to increase the degree of nonconformity that presently exists. We're taking an existing lot that's non-conforming, making it further non-conforming, which is 195-10 states you cannot do.
But it's already done, apparently.
It's an interesting question. I don't know how this got through title. How would that work? Do you know, Mark? Can they?
Because the common ownership for zoning is just a zoning issue. It's not a title issue. It's not a tax issue.
So
It's
they
not a
can
sewer stub
sell that
issue.
single parcel as they did without problem, no.
Because the common ownership is just a zoning issue. It's just for zoning purposes.
Paul tried to
I guess my
explain
question is,
that.
we've been struggling with this to understand it. When they conjoined in 72, that lot took on a certain shape and size.
Right.
When they sold it in 2017, they sold half of that parcel.
So the way Paul was explaining it at the last time, and he did ask for briefs from the two.
Right, so that's
people,
what I'm
I
hoping
have
to
those-
get.
We'll see those, you'll get them for next week. But the deed for the lot that was sold is clean. So, but he was saying to separate out that second lot under common ownership, that lot owes the first lot area. And so he wasn't sure if you can, I don't know if you can give the variance for area, but it is legal to sell that lot because it's under a separate deed. What it does to that lot, we're still
Right, I guess we're talking
We're
deed
unclear.
and zoning. From a zoning standpoint, we cannot separate the lot, though now the lot is separated.
Right, now it stands
and
alone.
Under, it's no longer
doesn't
conjoined, but I don't know. I don't.
Well, our
I'm
lot
not
stands
a
alone, and that's why
planner.
we're asking for a variance. I mean, that's
Now
the
it
essence of
stands
what we're
alone.
doing. And that's a separate issue. You're mentioning about the area, which, I can confer with.
I'll give you a
Paul
copy of
on
the
that.
briefs I have.
Thank
I'll
you.
send
So
them to
I
you.
guess you've already read, I mean, I'd like to
He
have
hasn't
Paul
made a
present it.
determination, but I have one from one applicant and one from the other, both arguing one is legal and the other one saying, no, you
It's
can
not
do it.
right. Yeah,
So, and Paul has not given me.
When did that issue come up? We've done that for years with
It was
undersized
54
lots.
Parker.
Yeah.
Kind of, and, we've had this before with 177 and 179 Groton Road, but those were larger parcels, even though they had no frontage. Yeah, so it's been coming up more and more, people are looking for lots.
But these lots go back to the 50s.
Right, and I'll show you, there was deed searches and everything submitted. It was still unclear about the variance for area.
We had some documents last meeting. And one of the highlights of it was simply, the courts, however, have consistently concluded that a lot lacking sufficient area does not justify the grant of a variance. Mitchell versus Board of Appeals, Revere, 27 Mass, APP CT 119-1120, 1989. The hardship arises solely from the fact the lot is too small to qualify as a buildable lot under the zoning ordinance or to achieve exemption under a grandfather clauses applicable to lots created before zoning. In these circumstances, Subchapter 10 gives the Board of Appeal no authority to grant a variance. That was put together by one of the attorneys representing an abutter.
Yeah, Harvey Quallen, Hall, whatever, Attorney Hall.
Walsh, Attorney Hall. So that's his argument, and I'm not saying that's it. Paul is going
One
to
half.
sort of give us some guidance on that next.
Yeah, I mean, I
next
can
meeting.
certainly look into it. We've had two separate chains of title and deeds going back to pre-zoning, 50 and 53, so.
Right, I mean, it's very interesting now that I think technically.
I've never heard of that issue.
The
that-
lots are not conjoined anymore because of the sale, so I don't know how that works either. I just do not understand what rights we have to grant or not grant in that case.
I have one question related to that. From a zoning point of view, when was this lot created?
I
Because
think it
it
was
was-
1953,
But
which
it
is,
was then conjoined and then split. So do we say it was created when it was split again last year? Or are we going with when it was originally created before it got put together and then taken apart again?
Steve, I can answer that. The conjoining doesn't negate the deeds for both parcels. They're put together for zoning purposes, and that's it. So they truly are two separate parcels. But if they're non-conforming, they're put together so that, to make them more conforming, if they're under common
Because they're
ownership.
co-owned, because they're owned by one party?
Right.
So the lot creation was 1953 or what?
Well, for 1950, for the house lot, for the vacant lot, it was
both lots were created
53.
in 53. In 72, they're purchased under common ownership. That conjoined them. And then in 2016, I believe,
Not common ownership.
it was sold, and now they're no
Stands-
longer conjoined.
Right.
I don't know, I really need to speak with Mr. Haverty, and I think that we'll get some clarity at the next meeting, so it shouldn't be too long a way to understand this better.
Yeah, I'd like to look into that too further.
I'd really like to understand it. That being the case, I'm going to read the rest of the letters in. I received on a legal notice, a letter from Austin Rawls, 64 Dunstable Road. The above lot has been filled in with truckloads of fill over the past several years. As a result, the small spring and stream has been covered and, it's handwritten, so excuse me, and has in my backyard, and has caused my backyard to be too wet to even grow grass. I am therefore against any further change in this area. I will be away from January 20th to April 5th. I can be reached at this number. Sincerely, Austin Rawls.
If I could address that, apparently he's making a question about some fill being put from removal of the soil during the sewer excavation. The applicant's father did get a permit to fill in the lot with fill from sewer excavation, which was approved by the building inspector at the time, Anthony Zagza, as well as the Board of Health. I can submit that letter and permit as well. So the complaint about what was being done with fill being put in, that was done pursuant to authority from the
Can you point out which house that is that petition's
It's right
from?
behind the blue one, this one here.
Is it the one on the corner?
address, 64 Dunstable Road.
that was it.
That one?
I believe so.
Let's see.
And it- does
That's
it-
mine, it's not the one on the corner.
Oh, I'm sorry. 64, it's this one.
Blue, yep.
Sorry.
No, that's all right.
1322. So no one said anything from the lot adjacent to it, which would be 13.
I'm going to read the rest of those. I don't know who has. I'll read them right now. I have a piece of paper here that says, I have viewed the plot plan and building plans for the proposed house at 9 Rogers Road and have no concerns and would be in favor of the board's approval. January 21st, 2018. I have a signature by John Sharon, 18 Sharon Road. I cannot make out the signature. It is 8 Rogers Road. And is it really copied too? Stephen Mayette, 70 Dunstable Road. They're in favor of the project. Looks like I have a email here from Billy Gillette, no address given,
He's on Sharon Ave.
Sharon Ave. Hi there.
Across the street.
Just home and see the notice for the Board of Appeals. I committed, I would not object. I just wanted to confirm it's for one single-family home, not a duplex, 40B, et cetera. Sorry to have to ask. And it is one family home.
The reply was a thumbs up, I think,
And the thumbs up was there, yeah, I didn't do that.
for the record.
I have letters from the town here regarding 11 Sharon Ave. 11 Sharon Ave. So these are not for 9 Rogers
It was a
combined?
combined, yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to assume that we have 9 Rogers and 11 Sharon. The Board of Health has no concerns. Fire Prevention has no concerns.
But that's for the front property that was already sold, those letters, correct?
I have to tell you, that's what it says here. It
So
does
that's-
not say
that's
on
not
this.
concerning what we're.
Point of order, please. He has to go up and identify himself and address, please.
And honestly, the request was made for both. He withdrew the one for the addition because the house was sold. So when I sent out my letters, I wrote those letters. I just put them under 11 Sharon Ave to keep it nice and clean. But both requests and both applications are part of this.
Okay.
Well, this was initially for 2 lots, expanding the one house that was
I understand.
sold. Yeah.
I
And
just
then
am
the vacant lot
Reading this,
withdrawn.
it doesn't say 9 Rogers Road, so. This particular letter does have Lot B, 9 Rogers Road, no comment, from Community Development. The only letter that specifies the 2. There may be more information from the fire department, as I think they would have left the letter.
It would be under new construction, their fire things, they usually don't have comments for new construction. It has to be brought up to code.
Okay. Those are the letters. Going to open this up to public comment. If you want to relinquish the podium, sir, that would be a good idea.
My name is Charles LaRosa. I live at 60 Dunstable Road. Would be this corner lot here. So I am the other property, the gentleman, Mr. Rawls, that was talking about the water and the flooding of his backyard is also the same issue I have, but I'll get to that. With the landfill issue, no one was questioning that you brought in landfill. The question with the landfill is our backyards completely flood and we can't use our backyards more than half of the year now because of the infilling that they did a long, long time ago. So that's what Mr. Rawls is getting to with the flooding of the backyard. The mosquito agency from Massachusetts comes out to my backyard 3 times a year to spray because we have so many mosquitoes. We're already on the water table. So any additional, how you're saying that there's a hill there, that hill goes way, way back. So unless you're planning on hanging this dwelling over, I don't understand how you guys have enough room. Because behind my property, there's about 15 feet. And then you go up the hill, which is on a slant. So we're talking a property that's 10,000 square feet. You're saying there's properties like that in that area. There's not another property that's anywhere close to being as small as 10,000 feet in that entire area. So I'm not seeing that. If you can point it out to me or give me addresses, I'd love to see it. Adams is 35,000, mine's, I think, well over 50,000. So I'm not seeing where we can just grant anybody, because you guys chose to break up a lot and sell the front lot, and now you're left with a useless piece of land, we all have to suffer and change variances? So I don't understand that. So I can start there, but I can keep on going with, this isn't the first time this has been brought up. The neighborhood, the town has said no to this in the past. This is not the first time this has been done. This is an ongoing thing. It's a 10,000 square foot lot, of which I have to imagine a quarter of it is on a slant or on a hill that needs more land infill. So that's what I have to, I don't know if that helped. Thank you very much. Thank you for listening.
Good evening. Your name and
Evening.
address, sir?
Adam Vella, 10 Rogers Road. Like I can point it out on the map as well.
That'd be great.
Okay, so this is the 9 Rogers we're looking at. This is my lot right here. These 2 lots, this is the home. So the new building that they're talking about would be directly across the street from my home. Now, this Rogers Road is a very narrow road to begin with. I'm concerned about the frontage area because for the amount of land they're talking about building a house, it seems like it's going to be probably 10 feet from my land right there.
Could we put up the survey for Lot B, please? It is asking for relief on the front and side setbacks of the home. That's a better picture of it right there.
Oh, that's not the right one, sorry.
Oh,
I mean, this isn't
a
a
good
very,
picture.
this
This
is
is
not
not
a very
very-
crowded area of a development. I already have 2 easements on my property to other landowners because it's so tightly congested to begin with. Now to have a new property built right on the corner because others chose to segment this land and sell it to someone who didn't do due diligence, realizing they want to build a house, they want to build property, but they haven't gotten the permits to do so. To put that burden on the other developers, the other owners in the area is quite unfair.
I understand your point.
I received the notice, but this is the most information I've actually gotten sitting here. I do think, you mentioned there was going to be continuance. I would like to look more into the actual zoning laws, what is permissible, as well as the case law you mentioned from Mitchell v. Board. That's all I have to
We're
say.
definitely going to continue it, because I have questions that I do not understand. But and I don't know how they apply to this, and we'll try to get some clarity on that from town council.
I mean, right now, the road, trying to get 2 cars passing together at the same time is tough. If you're going to have a new property there, that gives you an idea of how close that's going to be to the very edge of the road.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Feel free to approach the podium, sir.
So my name is Alan Clark. I'm the personal representative of my mother. I lived at this property from 1953 to 1975. My current address is 361 Sunset Hill Road in the little town of Sugar Hill, New Hampshire, probably best known for Polly's Pancake Parlor, where I am the fire chief. So I just want to give you maybe a little bit of a history, and I understand it's going to be continued. I just want you to know that I sold that house because it is a separate lot on its own separate deed. It's taxed separately, and it's been reviewed by 3 attorneys. And I don't know how many people here are attorneys, but I'm not. And so it passed, it had title insurance, I got the check and the cash is gone. So that's a done deal. As far as this particular lot, this lot was always intended to be built upon. Apparently my father, not being a college-educated individual, a hard-working, blue-collar man, didn't realize the technicalities of the automatic merger of lots.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are unaware of that, and it's doesn't change that it happened, but I feel the same way, that the people that are unaware of this back in the 70s didn't understand. They bought a lot, they just don't understand the implication, but it doesn't remove the implication.
No,
And again, I've tried to be as clear as I can. I do not have a clear thought on this, but I will pursue it. to
It certainly
get
certainly
educated.
raises issue now of, what's the status of this lot? It's a legal lot. There is no doubt in my mind it's a legal lot. Whether or not it's a buildable lot, I guess that depends upon zoning. I can tell you in the state of New Hampshire, they did away with that automatic merging of properties.
Adjoining.
Just because it caused so much conflict. I lied a little bit because I'm also a real estate developer, and so
that makes it a lot.
I own lots, and I put one in my name and one in my wife's name and one in both of our names because I didn't want to get caught in what we're dealing with today. As far as the water issue, it's interesting that they claim that this is a new issue because back when I grew up, we used to ice skate in the back of what was Mr. Walker's property and Mr. Leclerc's. Mr. Walker's property is the fellow that wrote the handwritten note, and Mr. Leclerc's would be the gentleman over here. So there's always been water. The water, this is a big bowl. This used to be a gravel pit back in there, and unfortunately, that's where all the water goes. It continues to go. The filling didn't make it worse, didn't make it better. It continues to flow down. It comes off the hill. It comes up off of where Billy Gillette lives, which was where Roger Welch lived. Way back when Roger Welch built what we called the Folly, it was a big garage with a big party room on. All the fill that he took out was put on my father's land. So what I think we're asking for is simply a variance to the setbacks. I think this is a lot. Obviously, you're going to have legal counsel determine that. It's interesting that to compound the problem of filling, I have documentation that one of the men that just spoke brings his leaves and dumps it on our land. So to say that this is an unusually sized lot, I have the original subdivision that goes back to when Mr. Marinell subdivided it. The lots are all 11,000, 10,000, 12,000. Sharon Ave is 12,000, 9,000. The two lots, the two gentlemen, those were original. Those houses had been there. Those weren't really part of this subdivision. So I only ask, my father and mother paid taxes on this property as a separate lot for over 40 years. My grandmother gave up two of her sons to the war. My mother was a Chelmsford teacher for over 30 years. Although I'm not local, my family has been local. They certainly have worked hard and been good citizens. And all I'm trying to do is liquidate the estate and to be able to sell that lot as what it was always intended to be, was a buildable lot. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I do want to say that I appreciate what you do. I always say this, that for you to give up your time and do this is such a crucial part of town government. I think you probably get beat on all the time, but I certainly appreciate you volunteering and doing your time. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any other comment from the audience this evening?
Can I go back up? Is that?
You can, sir.
I'll make it quick.
It's about the leaves, we don't care.
I'm not going to talk about the leaves. Thank you, though. No, I know I'm not disputing that it's a separate lot legally. I can understand that. I'm not an attorney. I've bought and sold many houses, but I'm not a lawyer. I don't think anyone in the neighborhood is saying it's not a separate lot. It's just not a buildable lot. You have a separate lot. It's your lot. It's not a buildable lot. Maybe sell it to the guy that you just sold the other house to. I'm not sure. It's a real lot. It's not a buildable lot. And that's it. Thank you. Thank you again.
Thank you.
I just replied. The whole point of coming in for the variance is to have the structure closer to the front because of the drop-off in the back. And that's why we're looking for relief. There's no relief requested from the rear yard. It's the front and the side. That's why the house is positioned closer to the front. And with respect to the distance, you have at least 26 feet to the border of the way, and then the way itself is 40 feet. So I would respectfully submit there's quite some distance before you even get to the property line of the abutter across the street.
Thank you. At this time, acknowledging that there are some concerns with getting a report from Mr. Haverty, I'm going to ask for a continuance. I would like to make that motion.
I'll make a motion, we continue this to our second meeting, I believe, in March 1st.
No, February 1st. We can do it next week.
We can do it next week.
Yep. And Paul will be there at the
That
next
okay.
week's
It's
meeting, so I
fine
think
with
it's
me.
smart to.
I think if you haven't seen Rogers Road, it's worth a drive-by and understand this a little better. But we're going to have a meeting next week. We'll continue that for 1 week. We don't need to advertise it, right? We're all set with that?
We're all set. As long as you continue it to a specific date.
Motion to continue to February 1st.
Excellent.
Second?
I'll second it.
He's a good seconder tonight. Okay, all in favor?
Yes.
Thank you. And this meeting will be going on again next week. You're welcome to attend, same time in this office.
Same bad chance.
February 11th.
Don't ding.
I don't ding, I'm
You
not
want a dinger?
Yeah, that's a good thing.
All right, what's next?
Our next hearing is 21 McFarland Road. Deborah Powell, she's seeking a special permit under 195-8E2 to construct a new 26 by 26 garage addition with a 14 by 4 rear bump out to a non-conforming structure, lot area, frontage, front setback, which will increase the square footage over the 20% allowable. This is a special permit. I'm reading this on his wrong survey. Is that just in that one file that it's wrong? Is that the case?
Oh, that is the whole application, so if you go to the next one, it's the survey,
The survey, the correct survey.
the correct survey.
Second URL? Okay, got it.
It's got the bump out on the
Oh,
map.
thank you.
That was added later.
Correct.
Good evening. Yes, your name and address.
My
for
name
the
is
record.
Brian Wilbrenner. I live at 20 Maspog Way, Dunstable, Mass. I'm a contractor. I was hired by the homeowner to put the garage on. She's lived at the house for 28 years and would like to add a attached two-car garage. Upon pulling the permit, or trying to pull the permit, we realized that the lot is in an industrial zone. So we're looking for the special permit to
It's not hard.
meet that.
It's IA.
It's IA.
How does that work as far as setbacks go? Do we know what they are for?
You're right here, 40.
It was a 40-foot setback.
Oh, wait a minute.
40-foot
That's the
front or
that's
40-foot?
the square foot.
It required a 40-foot side setback, I believe, Mark, right?
Front
would make sense for
40,
industrial.
side 40, rear 30.
Residential.
This is currently used as a single-family home.
Correct.
The whole neighborhood's IA.
Yeah, the whole, it's,
That happened during the Golden Triangle Day. They were part of that rezoning.
Would you say it was front 40, side 40?
And rear 30. It's on page 19, oh, that's not the page number.
as the house sits right now, most of the houses in the neighborhood aren't even close to those setbacks. I believe this one, even on the other side, doesn't have 40 feet.
Yeah, it doesn't appear that it's 40, except for the rear would be 40, where it only needs to be 30.
It's, it says on the rear has to be 100 if it abuts a residentially used or zoned property. I'm reading a footnote on the rear.
Right, but there's, the whole neighborhood
I
is
could
in
speed this
district.
up. There's no need to look into anything.
It's there,
It's
it's
non-conforming.
pre-existing.
It doesn't matter what the setbacks are, it's non-conforming. So you don't need to worry about what setbacks are supposed to be there or not supposed to be there. It's non-conforming. That's all we need to deal with. Just to speed it up. I'm not trying to disrespect anybody.
I
but
appreciate it, I appreciate it.
You don't need to look at 100-foot setback.
I don't think I've ever had an industrial residential house, I do want to understand it. but, I'll read some letters in. Were there any questions from the board? Mr. Wilbrenner? Seeing none, I'll open this up to the audience for any questions they may have regarding this application. For or against is it?
Go right ahead.
I will read the letters. This is going right along. The building department has no concerns. The Board of Health has no concerns. Community Development has no concerns. Fire Prevention has enclosed a letter regarding 21 McFarland Road. Deborah Powell, dear members of the board, the office has reviewed the proposal for an addition at 21 McFarland Road, finds the following. The entire home, existing, new construction, shall be equipped with life safety systems as required by 780 CMR 51, standard for new construction. The home shall have hardwired, interconnected smoke, carbon monoxide, and heat detectors in all required locations. 3 copies of the plans that clearly show all life safety devices shall be submitted to this office as part of the building permit plan review process. The office would approve of this addition with these conditions, and I ask the board make this letter part of their approval process. Respectfully submitted, Captain Dan. I have a letter from Kara and Alan Kalf, 23 McFarland Road, Chelmsford, in regards to the proposed to be considered at the town meeting tonight for a garage addition at 21 McFarland Road. As our house at 23 McFarland was built under old zoning ordinances, it is only 12 feet from the property line abutting 21 McFarland. The proposed addition would extend their house 26 feet closer to ours, so we request that they plant a privacy screen of trees, bushes, and such as arborvitae between our properties. Thank you for consideration, Kara and Alan Kelf. Is that something that the applicant would consider?
That's up to you.
We just took out-
Yeah, it's 20, I mean, we're gonna end up 26 feet away from
their house.
lot line.
See the ones that are on the southern, the bottom side of that? They're already right on their lot line, so,
Correct.
Yeah, they
have
said
a
they're
fence
12
that's
feet.
5 feet from me.
yeah.
But this is just gonna be a garage too, right?
Correct.
Correct.
2-car garage.
Yeah, it's not like anybody's
It's not
gonna
like
be
there's
No
big
living
peeking in their
windows and
window.
stuff.
Getting
Right.
closer to them.
She's asking you to plant some bushes. Is that a big problem for you?
I mean, if I had to, no. I mean, we just took out 2 huge pine trees that were so close to their house, kind of,
I think that might be part of their concern. All of a sudden, it's open.
well, no, there were big chunks falling off, so we were concerned it was gonna hit their house. So I
Right.
took out those huge trees. But I'm sure, I mean, if we need to plant trees,
Mr. Chairman? Ms. School.
Very good point. Would you mind approaching the podium? We can have this chat.
For the record, we just need your name and address, please.
Deborah Powell, 21 McFarland Road, Chelmsford, Mass.
Thank you.
Do you want me to say any more?
I mean, I'm going to suggest that we think about 8 arborvitae's 5 feet tall that over time would fill in between the 2 properties. Is that something you'd be agreeable to installing as part of this application process?
Sure, if I had to, I could price it out and see, assuming that it's
They're
feasible.
$40 a piece,
Oh, sure.
you know, give or take. Home Depot has very nice ones. That work for you?
Sure.
Very good. And that is the end of my letters.
Because this is pretty straightforward, I'd like to approve.
I think we should close the public meeting.
Oh, we should close the public meeting first.
Closing?
Motion to close the public hearing?
Second,
Second.
all in favor? Aye.
I'm going too fast.
Now you can make a motion if you would like.
Anyone else want to say anything?
No.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion to approve the special permit for 21 McFarland Road with considerations of the letter read in
In a privacy screen.
And the plantings.
the plantings, that's it, right.
of 8 abrevieties along the property line.
Did
Of
you get the
20
other letters from the other neighbors?
I've read everything I have unless I'm, that's everything I got. Were there other letters of support or?
Support, yeah.
They might be laying down in there instead of standing up.
I didn't,
Can you use them now that the meeting's closed anyway? Can we take new?
It doesn't matter.
I could take a motion to reopen the public hearing. I don't see them anyway, so I
That's all
don't know.
right,
It's,
that's all right.
You got a motion to approve anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, they're the closest to butter.
Yeah.
It's a simple,
Yeah.
you know, put in some abrevieties, make them happy. I think it's a reasonable request. And I do not, none of these are letters. The legal billing, no. Oh, wait a minute, here's one here. Robert and Brenda Delaney, so I guess a motion to reopen the public hearing.
Motion to reopen the public hearing for 21 McFarland Road.
We, Robert and Brenda Delaney, who reside at 22 McFarland Road, are aware of Deborah Powell's plans to build an attached two-car garage to her residence at 21 McFarland Road. We support the plans and have no issues with the plans to build. Robert and Brenda Delaney. And we, Paul Hart and Amy Hart, who reside at 20 McFarland Road, are aware of Deborah Powell's plan to have built an attached two-car garage at her residence at 21 McFarland Road. We support the plans and have no issues with the plans to build. Paul Hart and Amy Hart. I'm sorry about that. They were laying
That's all right.
down in the pile. Now, if I could have a motion to close the public hearing.
Motion to close the public hearing, Brian? Brian?
Second it again?
Second, by Nancy. All in favor?
Yeah.
Aye.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the special permit, 21 McFarland Road, with consideration of all the letters, plus the abrevieties that you would like.
That the neighbor would like.
The neighbor would like.
Well, I would like to make the neighbor happy with this, and I think it's a reasonable request. All in favor of the application?
You gotta second it first, no one seconded.
Okay, I'll second it.
You should step up a second now.
They got a
He's
dual
giving
thing
the
going.
look.
They're the-
Second by Nancy, again. All in favor?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good Lord.
Good Lord, it's all right.
Thankfully, our last application of the evening. An application for 73 School Street, William and Kellyanne Somf? Soph? A variance under 195-9, conformity to construct a new garage on a non-conforming lot area that would create a non-conformity on the front and side setbacks. Good evening.
Hello, I'm William Schaumf, 73 School Street.
My battery died.
Why is this upside down?
Okay.
So the front setback, they got a pretty big lot there. Can we move that back a little? Is that an option that you have?
There's some mature trees in the back there.
Like to
We'd
keep?
like to keep.
And the same for the side setback?
Yeah, why is the side
Why don't you move it towards the,
house?
I think
Oh,
it's
in order to pull a full-size vehicle into the garage.
the entrance is going to be along the side. It's not going to be, the entrance isn't
Existing
here.
driveway, in order to pull a full-size vehicle in.
Do you want to see the garage?
Sure.
It
Yeah,
is.
I did see the plan, I saw the plan, it is beautiful.
There's,
I have to spin it again.
it's already got cars in it and everything.
They come with the garage.
Okay. How many trees would that affect if you went back to the 40 feet?
There's a cluster of about 6 maples there.
Yeah. Talking 5 feet, right?
It could be done.
It just,
There's 41 feet between the house and the garage right now with the current proposal. And what is the required setback? Is it 25?
The
Side
side?
setback's
Yeah,
25, I
side.
believe.
So going down to 33 feet would make it that you couldn't get the vehicles you're trying to get into the... Are we talking like standard pickup trucks, or is it something larger?
No, standard pickup.
Look at the size of him. He drives a big car.
It's 41 to the corner there, and to the argument that if we move it farther back, that's gonna make that one bay more difficult, but when you get to the other two, you don't have 41, you have 61 to the house proper. Parallel.
Yeah. Excuse me if I might. If we ask him to move it back 5 feet and then move it over 8 feet, he doesn't have to be here. So, I mean, he's
Right.
seeking variance.
That's what, I'm working in that
So if he
direction.
moves it, he doesn't even have to be here, so. I mean, I think he's seeking a variance to put it where he wants.
I'm just trying to understand, it's such a big lot, why, 5 feet is critical. I understand the tree thing, it just
Because we're in...
goes 5 feet back and.
So what's the hardship? Trees?
3.
Is that a hardship?
Well,
For a
if he
variance?
moves it back, actually, is this, if he moves it over 3 feet, would it become a special permit? We wouldn't need a hardship?
3 feet.
You get the 20% for a special permit.
It's all how you interpret that bylaw about the reduction of dimensional requirements.
But that's what,
20% reduction?
So it would be, actually, 20% would be 30. It would be 20 and 34. If you move it 3 feet closer to the house, the problem with giving you a variance is it's a hardship. And we don't really have a hardship for you. The trees don't qualify, the lot shape doesn't qualify. You could, there's all kinds of room to the site. So if you were, I
Instead of
believe,
17 feet from the side setback, go 20 feet?
if you go 20 feet, then that would become a special permit, and we wouldn't need to give you a variance. We grant a special permit, which does not require a hardship at all.
Actually,
Yeah, I don't wanna rain in anybody's parade.
Uh-oh.
The reduction to dimensional requirements are for 1 and 2 family homes, structures. This is not a 1 or 2 family home, this is an accessory structure.
Okay, no,
That's
that's
when you're
a
building a
good
new
point.
house on a lot. Sorry, Mr. Schaumf.
So if he was a foot off, he'd still need a variance with an accessory structure. And what is a variance?
Yeah, I don't,
And what is a hardship?
yeah, I can't, that's my sticking point. I don't see how we go.
why is it a variance when he's
To a
got
variance
24
on-
feet on this side?
It really is, it lends itself
Doesn't
to
meet any
anywhere on the
setbacks.
lot. The trees aren't really a qualifier.
But I thought once it was already non-conforming. It
The
was
house
just a
is
special.
non-conforming, this isn't non-conforming.
Oh, because it's brand new.
It's not attached.
Yeah.
That's its own structure, it's a variance.
So based on that, he would have to move it 5 feet back and 8 feet to the right, because we,
I mean, I don't, do you have a hardship that you could?
I just, if I move it 8 feet towards the house, I wouldn't be able to get my vehicle in.
Trying to bring up the street view.
Did you consider putting it like behind the house, kind of?
Yeah, it just doesn't work with the house.
Well, what if you built it this way instead of this way?
What's going on?
The house is already 45 feet long, I don't, it just aesthetically wouldn't work. That's why I went with the avenue of detached.
I mean, we can't grant a variance without a hardship. It's a requirement of the variance. And I mean, you'd gain the frontage. I don't know how to grant you a variance without a hardship of sorts. I mean, unusual lot shape doesn't really work. You're already non-conforming, so saying the house is located as such isn't really a hardship either. I really don't know how to grant this. Not particularly upset about it. There's obviously no concerns from your neighbors, you know, it's not an issue. It's just,
I do have one concern. My name is Karen Haywood, and we abut from this photo.
oh, Karen, I apologize. I thought you were, and you're welcome to come up and give your name and we can, you know, I didn't realize. I thought you were.
Part of the family?
Yeah.
Might as well be. So our property abuts to the left of this photo. If he were to take down those mature trees, I'd be looking in his windows. Those trees are almost right on the property line. They're kind of commonly shared between the two of us. We have absolutely no problem whatsoever of him putting the garage where it is, as close to the property line as it is. Our concern would be if he were to move it down that 8 feet, I'm looking at the back of his garage when I look out my windows. So, I mean, we don't have a problem at all. If you guys can make this work, it would be great both for them, but also beneficial to us, because we would still have our view, we would still have our trees, and these trees are hundreds of years old, so it's not like they could be replaced with arborvitaes. No way. I'm sorry. It's a great idea, but it just wouldn't work.
Topography. Having mature trees.
Yeah, that's big
If you
bucks. To replace those trees would be thousands, and to take them down would be too. So we don't have an issue at all.
I appreciate that. I'm going to,
Is that you?
That's
going
me.
to read this again.
That's us. So these big trees that you're looking at here, these are the trees that you're asking him to take down. These big giant things here, and they're hundreds of feet tall.
And their house is new construction, so their legit back door is looking at us.
Yeah.
You have
So
to-
we want that there.
This
You have to
is,
come up
they don't
and
need-
our
state
back
your
door is
name.
just on the other side of that. So all these trees here are huge.
And then we don't want them looking at the back of the garage if we
You-
push it that
you
way.
gotta-
Then they're
You gotta
looking at
cut-
the garage.
What's your name?
You have to state your name.
My name's Kelly Schaaf. I'm the property owner here, his wife. But also, they're, like, if you, this is our property line. So this house is new construction. It used to face us here on School Street, but now the way they built it, it faces on this little side road. What is it? Schofield. So their whole back patio and their backyard now faces us. So for them to put a big garage here, you wanna walk out your back door and enjoy your life and, oh, that's the neighbor's garage. What do you want me to do? Put a big star on it, make it look pretty for them?
Yeah.
Plus, you want us to tear all that down? It's gonna look stupid.
And thousands of dollars.
And we enjoy our green space in the back. We don't wanna get rid of that. If you go back to the plot line, that's nice green space that we wanna keep, not fill it in with a garage.
Is there any way trees could be
Here.
considered topology?
And then to move it more this way, this is a very narrow driveway, very tight, if you look at the picture. It looks big on this, but it's not. It's very tight.
I'm going to read this into the record, as this is my concern. Massachusetts courts have held that the hardship must relate to the premises for which the variance was sought. That's your property as it sits. In addition, the hardship must be linked to or caused by the land's unique or problematic soil conditions, shape, or topography. The Supreme Judicial Court has put it well, unless circumstances relating to the shape or topography, the soil conditions of the land, the shape of the land, or the topography of the land cause the hardship, no variance may be granted lawfully. Is there ledge back there?
Say yes.
Where the driveway is, there's no ledge under the gravel?
Sure, there's no ledge back.
Bill, there's nobody here but us. You sure there's no ledge there?
There's ledge there.
There's ledge.
You're on TV, Brian.
There's a garage, so it wouldn't matter.
Right.
Accessory building.
I think honestly, it's,
I thought it was pretty cut and dry.
yeah, I have to tell you, I mean, and we're struggling with this, with the area and defining what we can do legally. I don't see this being a problem legally. The precedent sets is troublesome because once this is granted, someone's going to say that you did it here and why, and that's problematic to the future. I'm going to suggest you withdraw, and you can talk to an attorney about deciding whether there's a hardship based on your land, and the other choice would be to relocate the garage. That would be my best advice to you at this point. I don't know of a hardship I can give you. If you could, and I guess to Mark's point, we cannot use a special permit if it's an accessory building.
I'm just saying, the bylaw reads for 1 and 2 family structures. And it was designed for, if you had a vacant lot and you needed some dimensional relief, they made it easy to get that 20%.
But, and
The board can apply it any way they choose, I'm just telling you how it reads.
Brian, can I ask?
We can take a vote on it.
Can I ask the applicant a question?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I understand where you want to put the garage, and I completely understand it, but why couldn't you just put it on top of that concrete pad? I mean, is that something special?
That was a one-car garage. It's not very big. It's actually gonna be gone.
Right, I understand, it's gonna be gone, so,
But then how are we gonna get to the back of the house if we put a garage? They won't even have room to drive around it to get to the back of our yard.
just put it like 10 feet away,
Where's the concrete pad?
right there.
Straight
see
back.
it? Yeah, read it upside down.
I don't think anybody's particularly against it. It's just there's no way to grant you this relief as a variance. I mean, as a thought, if it was attached to the house, Mark, would that,
Well, then they'd be here for a special permit.
so if you had look at how to do that in such a way, even, I think with a fence, you could attach it, it would become a special permit.
Because it's IA.
Attached with a fence?
It has to be a common wall.
Has to be a common wall?
But it's still IA.
Or roof.
Pretty special permit, he just said.
Yeah.
Just trying to find a way to accommodate them.
Car garage? Is that not gonna fit either?
Pardon?
Would a two-car garage fit there?
If
It's
you
the
can put the
setback.
structure so that it is 40 feet from the front setback and 25 feet from the side setback, you do not need any variance whatsoever. Would go 5 feet back. I think that's fairly achievable without, I realize there's some trees that may encroach. And I think the 17 is, you need, was it 8 feet more towards your home, towards the center of the property. And you wouldn't need a variance. You'd be able to do it by right. You may want to try to stake the yard and actually see where your turning
No, it's all
radius will
staked
get
out.
you.
It's been staked out for a long
I'm,
time.
I'm not against this, so I don't think anyone finds this a problematic
The
application.
17 feet, that's, to make this work, that's what I need.
You can withdraw and consult a lawyer, see if you can find a hardship.
You got a 26 wide garage. Can you narrow the size of the width of the garage too? I mean, that's pretty
I have a
pretty
20
long.
My truck's 22 feet long.
Is it really? Wow. Okay.
I just do not know how to grant a variance for this without a hardship.
If they take a vote and deny it, you can't come back for 2 years. So it's better to withdraw.
Better to withdraw it and
and
try to
maybe
figure out a
reconsider
different
what you're
thing.
asking for.
Reconform, reconfigure my layout if I have to.
If you do, you can do it by right. You wouldn't have to come back to this board, or you can consult a lawyer to argue the point that there's reasonable
afford that.
hardship here.
Yeah, and I appreciate that. Well, a variance requires a hardship, and
Okay.
there's none displayed. There's no,
It's not a glaring hardship. It's just not.
No, I would check for some ledge in the
Yeah.
area.
Start poking around, see what the,
it's topography is a hardship.
yeah.
I honestly don't think anyone's finding a problem with what you want to do, other than we can't legally do it. So it's not like it ended up in a land court, but it does set a precedent that's problematic, further down the road.
I should withdraw.
You don't necessarily have to withdraw if you're gonna consult to try and find a hardship. We could continue it. But I wouldn't suggest taking a vote on this today.
Okay, I'd like to withdraw.
Okay, can I have a motion to withdraw without prejudice?
Motion to allow 73 School Street to withdraw without prejudice.
I second
Ooh,
it. Right.
Titanic shift. Have a second, all in favor?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks for your time.
Is there anywhere in, can I talk without, we closed? Oh,
No, we're not. We have to do a motion
We got a
to
motion to
close.
close
I
the
have a
public hearing.
bunch for next week that we're gonna have to do.
Public hearing?
All in
I've been-
favor?
I was gonna bring some,
You don't need a second.
No, you don't. Aye.
you adjourning?
Discussion,
so is
and the hearing is closed.
is there anywhere where the topography
adjourn
study,
and-
case law where topography is like defined or questioned or
It's defined and it's not trees.
not trees?
I was gonna bring, yeah.
Not even 100-year-old.
Charlie has a story.
No.
Okay.
But you don't wanna hear it.
You guys wanna
100-year-old story?
make a motion to
Is it a
withdraw?
100-year-old story?
Adjourn?
Hey, regarding the industrial, there's no crossing, so it doesn't create any,
No, it's just everything under that overlay, everything's, that whole area is non-conforming. Every street, there's 3 streets, the whole neighborhood's non-conforming.
so it just is,
So no matter what anybody comes for,
they're always
have to
gonna
come
need
before the
relief.
board.
right, been 6 down McFarland last 3 or 4 years.
Yeah. I just wanna get it, you know what I mean? I wanna understand it. It's, good to know.
Not well off the record anyway, but,
Why don't you adjourn and
I thought you just.
we'll go off.
Did we just adjourn?
We're
did.
still,
Adjourn.
we're still live. So I'll make a motion to adjourn that they hear and they'll turn us off.
Again? A motion to adjourn? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned.
Meeting is adjourned.